You've felt it before. That strange moment when your energy just clicks. You walk into a room and people turn, words flow, everything seems to open for you without effort. Then, hours later, it's gone. You're heavy, distracted, disconnected from that pulse that once made everything feel alive. Most people think that energy depends on rest, food, or motivation. But what if that aliveness isn't random? What if your energy field, the invisible electromagnetic web around your body, responds to specific frequencies you can tune into at will? I'm not talking about sound waves or healing playlists. I mean inner frequencies, emotional signatures that literally shift the electrical coherence of your body. Think of yourself like a radio tower. When you broadcast static, fear, rush, comparison, your signal weakens. But when you hold certain emotional tones, your entire field reorganizes. Cells communicate faster, the heart and brain sync. You stop leaking energy and start emitting it. There are 3 core frequencies that do this instantly. They're not mystical, they're mechanical. You've already felt them before in the exact moments you forgot to try. The problem is, your nervous system learned to shut them off when it didn't feel safe. So you confuse low energy with protection. But the truth? Your field is always ready. It's not about learning new techniques. It's about remembering the codes your body already knows. Today, I'll show you the 3 hidden frequencies that activate your energy field right now, and how to sustain them without forcing, faking, or chasing a high. Because once you feel what it's like to be fully online again, there's no going back. The body is not a battery. It's a transmitter. Every thought, every micro-emotion, every breath either sharpens or distorts your broadcast. The field around you, what ancient traditions called the aura and modern science calls your bioelectromagnetic field, is constantly tuning itself to your inner signal. Think of a radio dial. Most people live spinning between stations, catching fragments of peace, bits of focus, occasional bursts of joy, then static. That static isn't punishment, it's misalignment. When your inner state and outer intention play on different frequencies, your system can't lock onto coherence. Here's the model. Your heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the body. It extends several feet beyond your skin. Your brain, through thought and interpretation, modulates that field. And your nervous system acts as the tuner, translating emotional safety or stress into frequency shifts. When these 3 are synchronized, your entire body becomes a clear signal, broadcasting one unified vibration. That's the secret behind instant energy shifts. Not caffeine, not motivation, coherence. The first frequency activates when your heart opens. The second arises when the mind stops fighting what is, and the third locks in when the body feels safe enough to let the energy circulate freely. Miss one, and the field flickers. Align all 3, and reality responds as if the universe itself is listening. This is why certain people feel magnetic. You can sense when they're not trying to project confidence. Their energy simply is congruent. They've learned to tune their inner dial to coherence. The tragedy is that most of us learned to distort our own broadcast early on. We adopted frequencies of survival, anxiety, self-doubt, proving, and called them personality. We mistake tension for energy. But tension drains, coherence amplifies. The 3 frequencies I'll reveal aren't exotic. They're coded into your biology. Each one corresponds to a measurable shift in heart-brain synchronization. Each one flips a different switch inside the field: grounding, expansion, and transmission. But before we dive into the first one, we have to clear a common misconception, the one that keeps most people chasing energy like a product instead of activating it from within. Because if you believe energy is something to get, you'll never realize it's something you're already broadcasting. And that misunderstanding is exactly what keeps your frequency jammed. The biggest myth about energy is that it comes from doing more. More meditation, more affirmations, more movement, more effort. We treat our energy like a muscle to be trained, instead of a signal to be tuned. That's why so many people burn out on their own healing. Let me show you how this plays out. You wake up feeling off. You open your phone and see everyone already running their perfect morning routines. So you push yourself, breathe deeper, stretch harder, put on upbeat music. For a moment, you feel the rush. But 2 hours later, you crash. You start doubting yourself. Maybe I'm not consistent enough. Maybe I need another method. What actually happened is simple. Your body was never on that frequency to begin with. You tried to overlay intensity on top of disconnection. The mind forced, the heart closed, and the nervous system went into defense. The result? a scrambled signal. Here's the paradox. The energy field doesn't respond to effort. It responds to truth. The first secret frequency, the one that reboots your system instantly, is authentic presence. Not positivity, not control. Presence. When you drop the act and actually feel what's happening, coherence begins. The body relaxes because it no longer has to fake alignment. The heart rhythm smooths. Brainwaves slow. Your field stabilizes because you've stopped lying to it. You've probably felt this in moments of raw honesty, like after finally telling the truth about something you were hiding, or letting yourself cry when you didn't want to. Remember how your body exhaled? That was your field coming back online. Authentic presence doesn't mean drowning in emotion. It means not resisting what's already there. When you observe your internal state without labeling it wrong, you collapse the interference. The energy that was tied up in suppression becomes available again. Science has language for this. Heart rate variability increases, meaning your system can adapt fluidly instead of freezing. In energetic terms, your station clears. So the next time you feel drained, don't rush to fix it. Sit. Breathe into what's true. Let your awareness hold the feeling without trying to edit it. That neutrality, that gentle witnessing, is frequency number 1. It's the foundation that allows every other energy to flow. Because when the field senses honesty, it opens. And when it opens, something else starts to move inside you. Something far stronger than emotion or motivation. Most people think alignment starts in the mind, but it actually begins in the body. Your nervous system is the tuner of your entire frequency range. It decides whether your field expands or contracts. And here's the key. It doesn't care about your intentions, only whether it feels safe. You can repeat affirmations all day, visualize light around you, and still emit a signal of fear if your body senses threat. The nervous system runs the show. It's the silent translator between energy and experience. When the body feels unsafe, the heart rhythm becomes jagged, the breath shallow, and the electromagnetic field weakens. Your signal fragments. You can want peace, but your physiology broadcasts defense. That's why the second secret frequency is energetic safety. The felt sense of being allowed to exist exactly as you are. Not safety as in protection from life, but safety as in permission to stay open while life happens. Let's feel that right now. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in through your nose, and let the air move all the way down to your belly. Exhale through your mouth like you're fogging a window. Now bring your awareness to the back of your body. Your spine, your shoulder blades, the weight of your seat or your feet touching the ground. As you breathe, imagine your spine humming like a tuning fork. Each breath steadies the vibration. Nothing to fix, nothing to force, just the hum of being. Notice what happens when your awareness drops from your head into your body. The noise quiets. The field softens. This is coherence, the point where heart and brain rhythms synchronize. In this state, the mind isn't in charge. It's in service. Thought becomes an instrument, not a commander. And from here, energy begins to flow upward. This is why many people feel their energy spike after grounding practices. It's not mystical, it's mechanical. You've given your nervous system permission to unfreeze. Once it no longer guards against danger, your natural current returns. You can practice this anywhere. Before speaking, before sending a message, before a meeting. Pause. Feel the ground beneath you. Breathe until your body believes you're safe enough to be here. Then speak, act, or move. Because only from safety can expansion happen. And that leads us straight into the next layer. The place where temporary states evolve into something far deeper. Identity. You can calm your body for a few minutes. You can open your heart for a moment. You can even touch coherence for a breath or two. But if your identity is still built around contraction, the energy won't stay. That's the trap of state chasing. You meditate, breathe, journal, and it works until you meet an old trigger, an unexpected message, or that wave of uncertainty that reminds you who you think you are. Then the frequency collapses because the signal of your identity overrides the signal of your practice. The field doesn't respond to what you do once. It stabilizes according to who you believe you are consistently. That's why the third secret frequency isn't about emotion or relaxation. It's energetic identity. The inner knowing of, this is who I am now. Imagine a singer humming a note. If they hesitate, the tone wavers. But when the note comes from conviction, from full body certainty, the sound locks into resonance. That's how identity works energetically. When your self-concept aligns with your desired state, the field stops flickering. You've seen this in others, someone who carries peace without trying, or someone whose confidence fills the room even in silence. That's not performance, that's stabilized identity. But here's the subtle danger. Most of us unconsciously identify with our past frequency. We think we're anxious people, unlucky people, late bloomers, too sensitive, too intense. Those labels act like passwords that keep tuning us to old stations. To shift identity, you don't fight the old one. You inhabit the new vibration long enough for your system to recognize it as home. Not by pretending, but by familiarizing your body with the feeling of the new broadcast. When you hold that new sense of self with honesty and consistency, your field reorganizes. The nervous system recalibrates. What used to feel impossible starts feeling inevitable. Energy doesn't lie. It mirrors who you know yourself to be. The three frequencies, presence, safety, and identity, work like nested waves. Presence clears interference. Safety stabilizes flow. Identity locks the pattern in. Together, they make your energy field unmistakable. But if identity locks the pattern in, what happens when you shift identities entirely? What if, instead of just feeling a new frequency, you actually jump to a new timeline? A reality where everything matches that vibration. Every timeline already exists, not as fantasy, but as frequency. Each version of you lives on a slightly different station, broadcasting a unique signal through thought, emotion, and physiology. When your identity changes, you don't create a new reality. You tune into the one that was already resonating with that identity. It's like moving the dial from static to signal. The moment your broadcast matches that version, life responds as if it was waiting for you all along. Let me show you. A woman I worked with, let's call her Maya, had been chasing creative success for years. She'd visualize, affirm, hustle, but nothing stuck. She always felt one step behind. When we traced the feeling, she realized she still identified as the one trying to prove herself. That's the frequency of effort, not embodiment. So instead of pushing harder, she began tuning into the version of her who had already arrived, not pretending, feeling the emotional texture of that reality. She asked, how does she breathe? How does she move through her day? What does her energy feel like when she enters a room? Within weeks, her behavior changed automatically. She stopped over-explaining her worth. She started saying no to misaligned work. She began receiving opportunities that matched her new broadcast, not because she manifested them out of thin air, but because her field finally tuned to that frequency's timeline. Here's the science beneath the poetry. Your nervous system filters billions of bits of information per second. It literally edits reality based on what feels consistent with your identity. So when you shift identity, you alter perception, and therefore, your available opportunities. That's not magic. That's selective resonance. Most people try to shift timelines through force, visualizing harder, wishing louder, while staying energetically tuned to lack. The field can't translate contradiction. But when you embody the frequency of the version who already lives it, the outer world syncs like a mirroring algorithm. So the real practice isn't, how do I get there? But how can I remember I already am? Energy doesn't jump forward in time. It locks onto what's timeless. And here's the secret. You can practice timeline tuning in small moments. When you catch yourself in the old broadcast, worry, scarcity, proving, pause, breathe, feel the field around you. Then softly shift your inner posture toward the version who no longer questions if she belongs. That's how you move timelines, one frequency of self at a time. And soon, you'll need tools, practical body-based techniques to keep anchoring this new identity until it becomes your default signal. You can't think your way into a new frequency. You have to rehearse it with your body until it becomes second nature. The field doesn't believe what you think. It believes what you consistently feel. So how do you train your system to stay tuned to the new broadcast? Here's a simple toolkit, not for forcing transformation, but for stabilizing it. 1. Bridge statements. These are phrases that gently connect your current vibration to your chosen identity without lying to yourself. Instead of saying, I am abundant, when your body doesn't buy it, try, I'm remembering what it feels like to live as abundance. It's subtle, but it removes friction. The bridge tells your nervous system, we're moving toward this. It's safe. The field responds to honesty. 2. Somatic anchors. Every frequency has a physical signature. Find one. Maybe the version of you in flow has a slower exhale, relaxed shoulders, eyes that scan calmly. Practice those signals daily. the body teaches the mind. Over time, your system associates that posture with safety and coherence. 3. Energy lock. Before you begin your day, place one hand on your heart and one on your lower belly. Inhale through your nose and imagine energy traveling from the belly to the chest, linking grounding and expansion. Exhale and imagine that energy forming a light around you, not to protect, but to stabilize. Do this for 1 minute. It's your energetic password for the day. 4. Micro-tuning. Every few hours, pause and ask, what station am I broadcasting from right now? Don't judge the answer. Just retune. Feel your feet. Breathe slower. Remember the frequency of your chosen self. The more often you return, the less time you'll spend lost in static. And here's what's wild. When you do this often enough, your energy field starts teaching the body how to stay in coherence automatically. You become self-regulating. That's when quantum manifestation turns from theory to biology. Think of your field like a song. These practices help you memorize the melody until your entire being hums it unconsciously. That's when life starts harmonizing with you. So tell me, have you ever noticed that the moment you stopped gripping, what you wanted finally showed up? Share your story in the comments. It might unlock someone else's leap, because energy spreads. And when one person stabilizes coherence, everyone around them starts tuning to it. The next challenge is keeping that clarity when life gets loud, when urgency, doubt, or control try to pull you back to static. That's where the real mastery begins. Even after you've felt the shift, even when your field hums with coherence, 3 invisible forces try to pull you back into static: urgency, split signals, and control. These are the energetic saboteurs of every timeline shift. Urgency is the first. It masquerades as focus, but it's really fear disguised as momentum. The moment you think, it has to happen now, your nervous system contracts. Your field narrows. Instead of emitting a steady signal, you start pulsing chaos. The universe reads that as inconsistency. You know this feeling. Waiting for a message, checking your phone every few minutes, sensing your energy spiral with each second of silence. That vibration doesn't attract clarity. It amplifies noise. The cure isn't patience, it's trust. When you return to coherence, time bends. Things arrive exactly when your field stops insisting they must. Split signals are next. These happen when the mind says one thing, but the body broadcasts another. You might affirm abundance while your stomach tightens with fear, or declare love while your chest stays closed. The field doesn't follow language, it follows resonance. Mixed frequencies cancel each other out, leaving static. The way through is honesty. Name the split without shame. Part of me believes, part of me doubts. Then breathe until the body feels included. Wholeness, not perfection, creates coherence. When your parts stop arguing, your energy aligns. And then there's over-control, the most seductive trap. It's the belief that your focus must constantly hold the field together. But energy doesn't need a manager. It needs permission. The moment you relax your grip, your field reorganizes itself far more efficiently than your mind ever could. Think of the ocean. The more you fight the current, the more it resists. Float, and the current carries you. That's how your energy field operates. Not by force, but by surrender to natural rhythm. When urgency quiets, split signals unify, and control dissolves, you return to flow. From there, reality feels cooperative again. You stop chasing manifestation and start matching it. Every obstacle you meet is not a failure. It's feedback. The moment you catch yourself tightening, you're already halfway back to coherence. Because the field never leaves you. You just stop listening for a while. And when you start listening again, something extraordinary happens. Coherence stops being a practice. It becomes your way of walking, speaking, eating, breathing. It becomes life lived as frequency. True mastery isn't what you do in meditation. It's who you are while the world moves. The field doesn't switch off when you open your eyes. It keeps responding to your every micro-choice. Coherence isn't built in stillness. It's proven in motion. Start with walking. Most people walk as if rushing to escape the moment, shoulders tight, eyes forward, body slightly ahead of itself. But what if each step became a tuning ritual? Feel your feet meet the ground, the weight transferring evenly, the rhythm syncing with your breath. When you walk in coherence, the ground itself feels different, like it's giving energy back instead of draining it. Then, eating. Instead of scrolling or rushing through meals, slow down enough to let your system register nourishment. Taste fully. Breathe between bites. This isn't mindfulness theater. It's energy hygiene. When the body receives food in safety, Digestion optimizes, energy stabilizes, and your field expands outward. Conversations are another tuning fork. Pay attention to how your energy shifts around different people. You can feel it. Some exchanges tighten your chest, others widen your field. The goal isn't to avoid anyone, but to notice when you shrink and consciously retune. A slow exhale, shoulders relaxed, heart slightly forward. You don't have to match other frequencies, you invite them to match yours. Even in mundane moments, folding laundry, driving, showering, coherence can hum beneath the surface. That hum is presence plus breath. When you live like this, your energy stops being episodic and becomes environmental. You're not doing vibration, you're being vibration. One of my favorite practices is field listening. Before reacting, pause and feel the space around you. Sense how the field subtly changes based on your internal state. You'll notice that peace literally has a texture. It's thicker, slower, magnetic. Move from that texture, and everything you do gains power. When coherence is embodied through ordinary moments, manifestation stops being an event. It turns into a rhythm. People begin to sense your steadiness before you even speak. You become a stabilizing frequency in every room you enter. But coherence isn't meant to stay small. Once you master it in the personal sphere, something in you begins to ache for expansion, to see what happens when this level of alignment touches every domain of life. And that's where the field gets interesting, because once your signal stabilizes, reality doesn't just respond, it reconfigures. When coherence stabilizes, it doesn't stay contained inside you. It starts radiating into every domain of life. The field becomes participatory. Your energy doesn't just respond to reality, it begins shaping it. You'll notice it first in relationships. Suddenly, old dynamics dissolve without confrontation. The friend who used to drain you stops calling as often. Conversations deepen without you planning them. It's not that you became colder or wiser. It's that your frequency stopped resonating with disharmony. The field edits connections the way the body expels toxins, quietly, precisely, naturally. Then it moves into creativity. You sit down to work, and the flow that used to visit unpredictably starts showing up like a loyal companion. You stop begging inspiration to arrive because you've realized inspiration was never outside you. It was the natural byproduct of an aligned field. Ideas become less like thoughts and more like downloads, dropping fully formed because your system is clear enough to receive them. And then comes health. Your sleep deepens. Your recovery quickens. Not because you've hacked your biology, but because your cells are finally swimming in coherent information. Remember, every cell has its own electromagnetic pulse. When the overall field is stable, those pulses synchronize, like 1,000 musicians suddenly playing in tune. Healing accelerates. Let's ground this in a real moment. A man named Luis came to me after months of burnout. He was an athlete, obsessed with precision, measuring everything, heart rate, diet, mindset. But his performance kept declining. When we looked deeper, his energy field was saturated with control and fear of failure. I had him stop optimizing for a week. Instead, he practiced the second frequency, safety, through slow breathing and body trust. Within days, his recovery improved. Then he added the third frequency, identity, seeing himself not as someone trying to win, but as the kind of person whose natural state was flow. His numbers began rising. Competition stopped feeling like war and started feeling like rhythm. Coherence made him faster without trying. That's what happens when the field becomes dominant. Effort dissolves, efficiency multiplies. You start noticing synchronicities everywhere, the right person calling, an idea aligning with the perfect timing, opportunities rearranging like magnetic particles. Your field doesn't only affect you, it recalibrates everything you touch. But beyond the personal upgrades lies something even more profound, a recognition that you're not generating this energy alone. You're part of a vast intelligence, breathing you as much as you breathe it. And when you truly feel that, surrender stops being a loss. It becomes the most powerful alignment of all. There comes a moment in this work when you realize it was never your energy. The field that surrounds you isn't a possession, it's participation. You're not creating vibration out of thin air. You're aligning with the intelligence that was vibrating before you were born. Call it the quantum field, source consciousness, divine order. The name doesn't matter. What matters is the recognition that you are both the observer and the observed. When you relax into coherence, you're not summoning power. You're returning to the natural rhythm of the universe. This is where surrender stops feeling passive. Most people associate surrender with giving up, but in energetic terms, it's the highest form of trust. It's saying to the field, I'll stop distorting your signal with my fear. Think of it like standing in a river. When you fight the current, you exhaust yourself. When you float, the current carries you farther than your muscles ever could. The current isn't separate from you. It is you, moving in a greater pattern. That's what coherence reveals. There's no manifester and reality. There's one continuous dance of energy interpreting itself through you. When you start living this way, life becomes exquisitely synchronistic. You think of someone, and they text. You feel a quiet pull toward a place, and it leads to a breakthrough. You no longer label these things as coincidences because you feel the choreography behind them. The heart becomes the translator of that intelligence. It doesn't analyze, it listens. And when the heart and brain are coherent, that intelligence has a clear channel through which to express itself. Your intuition strengthens not because you're guessing better, but because you're no longer interfering. Even challenges change texture. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what frequency is this experience inviting me into? Pain turns from punishment into refinement. You stop fearing contrast because you know the field is always self-correcting. It's simply adjusting you back toward truth. This is where energy work becomes existential. You realize the goal was never to control reality, but to merge with it. The deeper you surrender, the more precise your power becomes, because you're no longer operating from separation. You're broadcasting from unity, and that unity is what the entire field responds to. But there's one more layer. The moment everything you've practiced collapses into simplicity. The realization that all three frequencies, presence, safety, identity, were never steps. They were mirrors leading back to your original signal. You've been tuning this whole time, not learning, not becoming, remembering. Every breath, every release, every softening brought you closer to your original broadcast. The one that was clear before fear, before proving, before noise. The truth is simple. Your energy field isn't waiting for activation. It's waiting for permission. Permission to hum the song it was designed to play before you learn to doubt your own frequency. Presence clears the static. Safety stabilizes the current. Identity sets the wavelength. Together, they form a triad, a living circuit that turns your body into a beacon. And when you hold that tone, the universe doesn't just hear you, it harmonizes with you. Think back to the metaphor of the radio. You've spent years spinning the dial, searching for the right song. But the moment you stop twisting, the station locks in. The music was always there. It was your interference that kept you from hearing it. That's manifestation at its simplest. Alignment, not effort. When you start living this way, your presence becomes contagious. People feel safer near you without knowing why. Conversations slow down. Opportunities magnetize. Life starts rearranging itself to fit your frequency because coherence is the organizing principle of reality itself. And you realize you were never broadcasting alone. You were part of a symphony. Every heart another instrument. When one of us remembers the melody, it ripples outward. So here's the invitation. Spend the next day listening to your field instead of your thoughts. Notice when you tighten. Breathe until you return to the hum beneath everything. Let that hum guide you. It knows where you're going. And if you felt your field shift while listening, if something inside you reawakened, tell me in the comments. Your story might be the frequency that helps someone else remember theirs. Because energy doesn't just transform when you understand it. It transforms when you embody it. And once your field sings again, once the static clears, you don't chase light anymore. You become it.